when you see the hiring of choice, you kind of now bring in a new running backs coach to work with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. It kind of lends to the idea that, okay, with John Morton, you recognize that there should be a little bit more of an emphasis now, too, on giving the football to your skill players. And I do think that Jahmyr Gibbs kind of has that Saquon Barkley effect, a guy that can take over games, a guy that can be a home run threat. Maybe you kind of on third down and one, pound the rock with one of your two great running backs. And I think that, I think there's an opportunity here when you look at it in 2025 to continue to highlight one of the stars on your team in Jahmyr Gibbs. What did you make of his development in year two? I thought that what you saw was a player gain confidence. You saw his work in the weight room. You see a player that, you know what? Okay, yeah, there's going to be always a debate about running backs, but there's still a spot for running backs in this NFL. And I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to find himself getting the football a lot more in 2025.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting when Monty went down with the injury and then he's getting closer to coming back. There was that conversation within the Lions fandom of like who should get more touches, right? And I didn't necessarily agree with our opening drive of the playoff game. Like, I mean, it's not a shot at David Montgomery. Jahmyr Gibbs was just in such a good groove, and then I thought that when Monty came out of the field, everybody and their mother knew runs were coming, right? Because we knew, okay, let's see if he, how healthy he is, establish him early. We're right back to Sonic and Knuckles. I love the fact that those guys ran out of the tunnel together and that they don't seem to have a, you know, looking over the back of my shoulder, trying to see what's that guy doing. Like they seem genuinely involved. There's a commitment financially to David Montgomery, and there will be a commitment to Jahmyr Gibbs too. Like this guy, he is he's elite. He's elite. Like he is Chris Johnson. I know Alvin Kamara gets brought up a lot. I think you can throw Saquon in there. In production wise, you could probably throw in Derrick Henry too. And the only thing where people hear that, like, what are you talking about? It's a size thing. It's the build of the player because Jahmyr looks the way that he does. We automatically assume that's Alvin Kamara, right? Is he Marshall Falk? Like this kid is unbelievable. He can run between the tackles. He can pass protect. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. And one of the things I really like about him is he'll show a little bit of emotion, but most of the time he's just a real business-like. He's kind of got that Barry Sanders, like, here's the first down, take the ball, right? I mean, they score, they get their touchdown dance together with the group, and that's all fun. He carries himself in such a way that I think that there's a level of lethality there with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. And the more that you can run the football, Lomas talks about this all the time because, run blocking is an aggressive move, is what Lomas says. And you start to do that early, you start to take that step forward, you are establishing yourself. Pass protection is a passive move, right? You're moving backwards away from the line of scrimmage. You're allowing them to kind of set the tone on the physicality level there at the point of attack. So I find that very interesting. I also want to highlight Christian Mahogany, right? Because, in a big time game, couple times this season, it went, he starts two games? One's a playoff game, and a couple weeks prior to the playoff game, did a really good job at that guard spot. Like that is, I know Giovanni Manu was kind of like a developmental pick there because of where he played at in overall size and what can we, let's draft this guy because you can't teach size. So let's draft him and see what we can, turn him into. Christian Mahogany played some really good football on that offensive line when we desperately needed him to. And, when you think about the guys up front, you have Sewell, you have Decker, you have Ragnow, right? What are you going to do at those guard positions? Like what happens next? The fact that Mahogany got some legitimate run there and played very well, I think that's a key point because you can't run the football, can't throw the football. You're not strong up front, right? Just like we were talking about D-line, it's all about line of scrimmage.